This was the era when indie films exploded onto the scene, and suddenly, stories about being lost in your 20s or 30s weren't just relatable, they were everywhere. Clerks at the center of this shift.
Hey, I totally agree with Cliff.
Hey, check this out, man. A review of our record.
Whoa, snap. Read it out loud, man.
Was the rise of independent cinema. Directors started taking risks, ditching the polished Hollywood formula for something raw and real. Take Kevin Smith's Clerks, for example. Made on a shoestring budget of less than $27,000, it showed two guys stuck in dead-end jobs, talking about nothing and everything, and somehow made that feel like the most honest thing you'd ever seen. That DIY spirit was everywhere filmmakers were proving you didn't need a blockbuster budget to tell a story that hit home. And it wasn't just about being edgy for the sake of it. These movies actually felt like they understood what it was like to be stuck, waiting for your life to start. The 90s were also the decade when directors started playing with storytelling itself. Pulp Fiction broke all the rules with its non-linear plot and sharp dialogue, showing that movies could be unpredictable and still connect with audiences.
You are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Ever wondered why these messy stories still hook you? It's because they didn't shy away from showing life as it actually is. Unfiltered, confusing, and sometimes just plain strange. Reality Bites is another perfect example. On the surface, it's got all the 90s vibes Winona Ryder, an iconic soundtrack, but underneath, it's all about questioning the so-called American dream. The characters aren't chasing after perfect jobs or relationships. They're just trying to figure out if any of it even matters. That hits differently when you're in your 30s, looking back and realizing that maybe you're still asking the same questions. These films didn't pretend to have neat answers. Instead, they showed that feeling lost is just part of being human. And the awkwardness. The 90s owned it. These movies let their characters mess up, fail and make fools of themselves sometimes in ways that are almost too real to watch. Whether it's quitting a job with no backup plan or having an existential meltdown in a convenience store, these moments weren't played for laughs or wrapped up with a tidy lesson. They just existed, the way real life does. What really set these films apart was how they made it normal to question everything. Jobs, relationships, even your own identity. Instead of pretending adulthood was a polished highlight reel. That's probably why they still resonate now, especially if you're feeling like you're just figuring things out as you go.
How do you speak such good English?
Me? I'm American.
You're American?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Let's talk about what it really means to break free from the script that everyone else seems to be following. The Truman Show, released in 1998, is the perfect example. Jim Carrey's Truman Burbank lives a life that looks picture perfect from the outside. Friendly neighbors, a steady job, and a safe, predictable routine. But the truth is, every single part of his world is manufactured. He's the star of a reality show he never agreed to, and everyone else is in on it except him. If you've ever caught yourself following the path handed down to you, graduate, get a job, settle down without really stopping to ask if it's what you want. Truman's story hits close to home. It's easy to feel like you're living out a script written by someone else's parents, teachers, society, or just the endless pressure to keep up. The movie takes that feeling and turns it into a literal prison, where Truman's every move is watched and every choice is limited. But what happens when those expectations don't fit? The film pushes you to ask if you're making choices for yourself, or if you're just following a plan set by everyone else. When Truman finally questions his reality, it's not just about escaping a TV set, it's about waking up to the idea that you can choose your own path, even if it means stepping into the unknown. Flip to a totally different vibe with Before Sunrise, directed by Richard Linklater and released in 1995. Instead of a world where everything is decided for you, this movie is all about what happens when you throw the rulebook out the window. Jesse and Celine meet by chance on a train and decide to spend a day wandering Vienna together. That's it. No script, no expectations, just two people letting the night unfold. Linklater's style makes every conversation feel real, and the whole movie is about possibility. It shows you what freedom looks like when you're not worried about ticking off boxes or impressing anyone. This contrast is what makes these movies stick. The Truman Show is a warning about the dangers of living by someone else's rules, while Before Sunrise is an invitation to let go and see what happens when you follow your own curiosity. Both films dig into the idea of freedom, but from totally different angles. One is about breaking out, the other is about letting in whatever comes your way. And when you're in your 30s, these stories hit even harder. You start to realize that authenticity isn't about having a perfect plan. It's about making choices that actually feel right, even if they don't make sense to anyone else. Sometimes that means stepping away from the safe path, or just saying yes to something unexpected. But here's the thing, figuring out your own script is only part of the story. What about the moments when you want real connection, but it feels just out of reach? That's where things get complicated, and the next set of films takes that challenge head on. Sometimes, the hardest part about adulthood isn't the responsibilities. It's the weird distance that creeps in, even when you're surrounded by people. That feeling that connection is just out of reach. The 90s had plenty to say about that. Let's look at 3 films that nail what it's like when you want to be close to someone, but it all feels like you're speaking different languages. Singles, The Virgin Suicides, and Magnolia. Singles sets the stage with a group of friends in Seattle trying to figure out love, work, and everything in between. It's got that grunge-era energy, but what really stands out is how real the dating awkwardness feels. You've got Steve, who throws himself into a relationship and ends up getting burned, and Janet, who changes herself for someone who barely notices. The movie's full of those moments where you try way too hard, say the wrong thing, or read way too much into a look or a message. It's relatable because it doesn't pretend anyone has it figured out. Everyone's just hoping to find a real connection, even if it means stumbling through a bunch of failed attempts first. The Virgin Suicides. Ever felt invisible even in a crowd? The Virgin Suicides takes that feeling and turns it into something haunting. Directed by Sofia Coppola, the film focuses on the 5 Lisbon sisters, who are isolated by their parents' strict rules and by the world that misunderstands them. Through the eyes of the neighborhood boys, the sisters become more of an idea than real people admired from afar, but never truly known. The movie's dreamy, almost surreal look makes the loneliness hit even harder. It's not just about being alone, it's about being surrounded by people who never really see you. If you've ever gone through a phase in your 30s where you wonder if anyone actually gets what you're feeling, this movie taps right into that. It's a reminder of how much we all need support and what can happen when it's not there. Magnolia. Then you've got Magnolia, which pulls you into a web of interconnected stories. The film is packed with characters who are all struggling with their own secrets, regrets, and hopes. Sometimes crossing paths, sometimes just missing each other. Magnolia's ensemble storytelling is all about showing how everyone is carrying something heavy, even when it looks like they've got it together. Frank, the self-help speaker, hides behind a tough front, but falls apart when he faces his dad. Claudia, dealing with the fallout of a broken family, spirals as she tries to find someone who understands. The movie doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it puts you right in the middle of the mess, reminding you that loneliness and longing for connection are more common than you think. If you've ever found yourself wondering why it's so hard to really connect as you get older, these movies get it. And honestly, there's something comforting about that kind of honesty. It means you're not the only one feeling a little lost, and maybe, just maybe, that's not a bad thing. Those 90s movies, they're a reminder that everyone wrestles with uncertainty, and that the process of figuring things out is where real growth happens. Tell us how it hits you in the comments. Thanks for watching.